So, markets started shaky, but then, well, geopolitics flipped the script. Hey everyone, it's Friday morning, April 10th, and welcome back to Capital Markets Quickie. I'm your host, Endrit Sella, here to break down yesterday's market action in just 2 minutes. Quick note before we dive in. Today's episode is brought to you by AMF Capital Asset Management Frankfurt. Learn more about our funds and strategies at amf-capital.de. Alright, let's get started. Now, yesterday was all about a late-day turnaround. U.S. stocks initially struggled, but then rallied after Benjamin Netanyahu agreed to direct negotiations with Lebanon. And that move? It boosted hopes that tensions in the Middle East might ease, especially around that fragile ceasefire involving Iran. So, by the closing bell, the mood had clearly improved. The Dow Jones Industrial Average climbed about 0.6%, and interestingly, it's now back in positive territory for the year. The Standard & Poor's 500 also rose 0.6%, while the Nasdaq Composite led the way, up 0.8%. That marks 7 straight days of gains for both the Standard & Poor's 500 and the Nasdaq. A pretty solid streak. Now, the real momentum kicked in during the afternoon. That's when Netanyahu confirmed talks with Lebanon, which investors took as a sign that one of the biggest sticking points in U.S.-Iran negotiations might finally get resolved. At the same time, Donald Trump said he was very optimistic about a potential deal with Iran ahead of talks happening today. Behind the scenes, the White House had already been pushing Israel to ease its military actions, though tensions on the ground are clearly still there. And here's why all of this matters so much. The Strait of Hormuz. It's one of the most critical oil shipping routes in the world, and it's been closed for weeks. Iran had halted tanker traffic, accusing Israel of violating the agreement. And that's where things get tricky. Both sides have blamed each other for breaking the deal. Now, oil markets reacted fast. After a sharp drop earlier this week, prices rebounded strongly yesterday. U.S. crude jumped about 5% to $99 a barrel, while Brent crude rose roughly 2% to $97. The concern? Supply disruptions could come back into play if tensions flare up again. So yeah, a classic case of markets swinging on headlines. And right now, geopolitics is clearly back in the driver's seat. Alright, that's it for today's Capital Markets Quickie. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe and stay in the loop. And if you want more insights, just add me on LinkedIn. Always happy to connect. See you tomorrow morning.